Mr. President, just a few days ago, there were peace talks in Brussels over the Nagorno-Karabakh region. The European Council President, Charles Michel, who was also there, said that there had been tangible progress in those peace talks. How optimistic are you that this time around these talks can bring a lasting peace?
We have serious expectations from these meetings. This is already the third round of peace talks to take place, and we genuinely wish to re-establish and reaffirm peaceful relations with our neighbors. The efforts of the European Union, Charles Michel, provide an opportunity for the President of Azerbaijan and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia to meet. That fills us with optimism because we're convinced that these meetings will yield results. The process will be difficult. We understand this. Difficult because we're talking about a long-running conflict, and long-running conflicts cannot be resolved over a couple of meetings. But we remain optimistic because we need to talk to each other, and this platform must be used to talk. We are ready to make use of any platform which provides a framework to discuss potential solutions to the conflict.
Within Armenia, there have been protests against these peace talks, and protesters accuse the Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan of trying to give away part of Armenian territory, essentially. How likely is it that these protests, these significant protests, can derail the peace process?
Let's not forget that Armenia is a democracy, and we cannot place any limits on the people's right to self-expression, nor do we intend to. That said, we must continue to work with our citizens and keep them informed about the negotiations we're conducting to resolve the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. We must also clearly explain that there is no question of ceding lands or changes to the territory of the Republic of Armenia. We do want to conclude a peace agreement with Azerbaijan that would address the most problematic issues for our two countries. But we also place great importance on securing the right of Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh to live in safety. In my opinion, this will likely be the most time-consuming issue. We believe that our citizens will be watching very closely.
The most recent tensions in the region of Nagorno-Karabakh did happen right after the war in Ukraine began. Is there a link between the two at all?
We do see a link, yes. Because we're trying to figure out why Azerbaijan chose this moment to launch provocations, including shutting off the gas pipeline that leads to the area of Nagorno-Karabakh during winter, meaning that the capital of the region, Stepanakert, lost heating and people were left to freeze. We came to the conclusion that Azerbaijan was obviously taking advantage of the world's distraction over the Ukraine crisis to continue the job they started in September 2020. We also saw parallels between this latest provocation and the 2020 war, where the circumstances were similar. Back then, the world was distracted with the COVID crisis. The US was focused on its own presidential elections, and every country had its own internal problems to deal with, so they seized that opportunity to strike.
Զբաղված են ընտրություններով, ամեն մի երկիր իր ներքին խնդիրները ուներ եւ առիթը օգտագործվեց, որպեսզի պատերազմ սկսվեր եւ դա էր պատճառը, համոզված եմ, որ այն միջազգային
We believe that's the reason why our appeals to the international community at the time were answered, but little came out of them. In this case, we were able to provide the Russian peacekeepers on the ground in Nagorno-Karabakh with evidence that Azerbaijan had broken the ceasefire agreement. We also provided the same evidence to the European Union, the Americans, and representatives of the OSCE Minsk group. But the Azeris were not interested in abiding by the agreement and were instead attempting to force the local Armenian inhabitants from their lands. But we were able to put a halt to that attempt. Now, the recent meetings between the two heads of state have given us some hope that such attempts will not be repeated.
Դրանից հետո այդ հանդիպումները, որոնք տեղի են ունեցել երկու երկրների ղեկավարների մեջ, դա մեզ հույս է տալիս, որ այլևս այդպիսի փորձ չի կատարվի.
Now, Armenia is also a member of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, which is a Russia-led security pact, mutual security pact for mutual defense. And recently, Armenia was one of the countries that sent troops, for example, to help and to defend in Kazakhstan on the request of the president there. That was the first time that that had happened since that pact was actually, formed in 1994. Is there any concern within Armenia that Russia could make a similar request over the conflict in Ukraine?
Հասկանալի է անհանգստությունը.
That's an understandable concern. We have a number of commitments towards various international organizations, including the CSTO or other international organizations. So, when we are called upon to fulfill these obligations, it's up to us, the Republic of Armenia, to make a decision. Regarding the deployment to Kazakhstan, all countries involved made the decision on whether to participate independently. In case of Ukraine, I think it's safe to dispel any concerns. At the end of the day, Armenia remains an independent state. Requests for help may come, but we are the ones who make the decision on whether to act on them or not. We understand very well what that means. A diplomatic solution to the Ukraine conflict is within reach, at least I hope so. Because at the end of the day, only a diplomatic solution is possible. That's why I doubt that the Republic of Armenia will receive any sort of request to take part in military operations in other countries, nor should it receive such requests.
Որևիցե ձևով այլ երկրներում ռազմական գործողությունների մասնակցելու հրավեր չի ստանա կամ չի ունենա.
Let's not forget that Armenia has participated in various peacekeeping missions itself, in Afghanistan, Syria, and Lebanon, for example. Our contingent was attached to the German command in Afghanistan, where we carried out a special mission. All that is to say that it's not the first time we've deployed troops for peacekeeping missions overseas. I think it's a pretty routine operation for most countries to provide support to countries that request it. If it's a peaceful mission, why not do it? Military operations are another matter. They require a different approach, which I would rather not speculate on. I would like our country to move through the world with peaceful intentions and build relationships with other countries based on mutual understanding.
Ցուցաբերել կամ գուշակություններ անել, ուղղակի կուզեի որ մենք միշտ խաղաղ նպատակներով երկրներ այցելենք, խաղաղ նպատակներով երկրների հետ հարաբերվենք, մնացածը խուսափենք որևիցե ձևով կոնֆլիկտ ունենալուց կամ այլ նպատակներ ունենալով իրար հետ գործ ունենալ.
We are here at the World Economic Forum, of course, so I want to talk a little bit about investment as well in Armenia. First of all, Armenia wants to present itself as perhaps becoming a new Silicon Valley in the former Soviet Union. And also, it's coming out of, this economic crisis due to the pandemic. What sort of investment are you hoping for here at the World Economic Forum in Davos?
In the IT sphere, we've been successful in developing a dynamic and growing industry which employs between 30,000 and 40,000 people, a number which we hope will continue to grow, with industry professionals being among those with the most competitive salaries. Investor interest remains high. But we're looking to develop a technologically advanced economy across all sectors, because programming-based businesses alone aren't enough to sustain an economy. We must also produce. In order to produce, we need advanced technology, whether in agriculture, medical technology, pharmaceuticals, or even in light industries like textile manufacturing or electronics. There is simply no other alternative development model for our country. We can't spend our limited resources inefficiently. Boosting production efficiency is paramount, and technology makes that happen. The recent success we're observing in the agricultural sector in Armenia was largely driven by the adoption of innovative agrotech. Those involved in the industry are well aware of this. They made considerable investments in the sector, which has now Armenia's agricultural production truly exportable.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.